Well, we're about to close the book on this particular story that we were covering. We did put a cause of death, but we did not get 100% clarification from the medical examiner. But now we can say that the medical examiner is in agreement of cause of death of this particular porn star. But before we start, I just wanted to step by for this moment and do a little housekeeping. First of all, don't forget to drop a comment, a like, share, and hopefully today's the day of earn your subscription. We're about 1370, I think, right now at the moment, and we're rising. Hopefully, we'll get to 2000 by the end of the year. Now, the thing is, right now at the moment, we are going to be taking a little bit of a sabbatical. Now, we will be putting out shows for the next couple of weeks. It will be light. If you noticed last week, we didn't put any shows up. Unfortunately, both me and my wife, we caught a nasty case of the flu, a real bad one. And we're still recovering from it. And we decided that both of us, that we'd take a little bit of time to ourselves to stretch back and to basically try to run the course on itself, not stress us out, relax, take a bit of a sabbatical to the point, and start back up in the fall to that point. So basically, we will be going on vacay, sort of a self vacay, but do still continue to watch. We will have new and current videos going on. We have done a slew of videos in advance, and we will be putting them out accordingly. Also, be sure to check out Sci-Fi for Me, which will leave the links in below, description below. Also, Sci-Fi Snobs channel for the latest on this over the Babylon 5 retrospective, which I will be appearing in about maybe, was it episode 9? I'll be appearing by the time you get this, and which was last week, and we'll probably be doing one or two more in the coming before the fall hits. So thank you again, those of you who have been watching, commenting, liking, sharing. Please continue to do that. Just hang in with us. A lot of things happen. Once again, thank you, and continue watching. Well, we've been covering Kylie's page death as of recent. We've had about 2 videos on that. The medical examiner has come forward and has already put their paperwork out that basically her cause of death was basically drug related. This has been happening quite some time now, that there's been a lot of issues in the industry itself. People have been blaming the industry itself for this. It's hard to put into perspective when it comes to situations like this. But remember, it's to a point when anyone can be, when it comes to drugs, especially fentanyl, all that affliction, there is no one particular group is doing it. This is anyone of any particular minority groups, or basically any particular as far as poor, middle class, rich. It has no bounds to it. I mean, this is why the fentanyl situation is a major problem on there. When you look at the problematic situation that's going on in the adult industry, this will be like hers will be like 6th or 7th. There was another actress also, Lena Burma, who was also found dead on there. Still waiting to hear what was her cause of death on there. So that was still waiting on that. But we're going to read this from AVN. Kylie Page's cause of death revealed by LA Medical Examiner. The Los Angeles Medical Examiner has determined that adult performer Kylie Page, who was found deceased in her residence in the Los Angeles area in late June, died from an accidental with fentanyl and cocaine found in her system, suggesting the cause of the death was an overdose, AVN confirmed on Wednesday. Now, supposedly she was celebrating sobriety at this point before this happening on there. So something must have happened that made her fall to this point. According to the documentation from the medical examiner's office, Page passed from the effects of both highly addictive substances and overdose was initially suspected when police officers were called to her residence for a welfare check via the coverage from the New York Daily News and the tabloid TMZ. Records indicate that her body was released to her family. Active in the industry since 2016, Page has been credited with over 200 scenes for major studios including Brazzers, Jules Jordan Videos, and various Vixen Media Group brands, Naughty America, and others. A GoFundMe.com campaign was launched on the behalf of the late performer. At the time of this writing, over $19,000 has been raised, nearing the $20,000 funding goal. Kylie was a daughter who loved hard, a sister who never let go, and a friend who showed up without being asked, the GoFundMe page reads. She was the kind of person who made you feel like family, no matter who you were. And that's the thing. When you look to the perspective that you had this beautiful young woman who took her life, but she gave herself to everyone else, you wonder what happened. And it's so easy in this day and age. And I in my youth, I thank God to this point, and the education of my parents, that I never ever got into drugs. I never got into marijuana. I never got into any of the cocaine or crack or anything of this nature. And the thing about it is, it was all around us back when I was a kid. This was not something that it was labeled to the point where it says, "Oh, it was up in Harlem and all that." I lived in Midtown, and it was around us. It was around. There were places in the city, and there were places my mom told me, "Don't go here, don't go there, don't play here." Like I said, thank God I never got into that. And today, today's drugs, if you think the addiction that was bad back in the 70s and 80s were, horrendous, look at, today. Just takes one little, not even a teaspoon, just a bit of a sprinkled powder to get you addicted to this shit. This is how dangerous this stuff is. And for people who sit there and try to blame the porn industry, is there something wrong? Any job will have problems. Any job can cause depression. You put to yourself, well, they're putting themselves out sexually. So it's not uncommon in Hollywood, the music industry, basically publishing. There are tons of stories out there that have been written in novels, made into movies, that, people have fallen through the cracks of life, that they were hailed first and, that they were doing good, and then they ended up, wine on the street or crack at it. It's so easy for you to fall and don't realize that there's help out there. You have family, friends, go to them, talk to them. Tell them I'm having a problem. You go to a party and, suddenly, the people have drugs in front of you. And that's happened a couple of times in my life where basically, people have had shrooms at a party and marijuana. And, I stood there for a while, hang out, had a drink or two, and then I left. I wasn't going to sit around there and watch people, do drugs all night long to that point. I left the company because of that too as well. That certain people in the company, they basically they took drugs. And the thing was, it was out in the open. It was not something that was hidden or anything to that nature. That basically, we went out, we hung out, after work, had a cocktail after work, and then suddenly, people are, snorting in the nose, to that point. That's not for me. Who knows what, they're doing and all that. And then I end up getting in trouble for something I never did. But like I said, you can't just focus on one thing. And like I said, lately there's been a lot of people on OnlyFans and the adult industry that has been on that. But I think the media has been focused on that lately. They're not focusing on the other situations when you see places like Philly and New York and LA and Seattle, and you're seeing people on the street that they look like zombies, And and it hasn't gone away. It hasn't gone away at all. It's continuing on a constant basis. And the thing is, people try to push that. They're saying, well, this administration is being authoritative. They're being, that they're wrong to arrest people for these things and stuff like that. You've had little kids die, not for taking it, for being around it. We had that thing back, the daycare center. And it wasn't one daycare center that happened. It happened to multiple daycare centers that you had, people manufacturing drugs around children. And you had that one particular one, which both parties got, more than 25 years in jail for letting a child die, not calling emergency services. They didn't dial 911 first. She called the owner called her husband to get the stuff out of the place. Because they knew they fucked up. They knew they were wrong. And they didn't, put the Narcan in. Kid needed Narcan. They didn't care. All they care is the money. And it comes down to it. A lot of times it's money. Other times it's your heart on your life. What's around you, what's going on, job related, relation related, your marriage, the person you care for, it's so many things that can happen. So we'll close the book on Kylie on here. There are other stories that are coming across. We'll talk about that in the fall as we come around to them on there. So drop a comment, like, share, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out all of our other videos here on CuticCast TV, Man with the Show. Taco Thursday will be returning back this fall. Basically, we've taken a little time to ourselves. Like I said in the beginning, that, you're hearing it in my voice. Basically, I've been a little bit off, caught the flu, and it's been affecting me, and I'm still in effect right now. And this is well over a week later. But like I said, we're striving, pushing on, and we're putting some videos out there for you. So do check them out. So until next time, thank you for tuning in, and so long.